Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into a fascinating piece, The Ballad of the Real Heroes by W.N. Weerthunga. It's this incredibly sharp critique of, well, political performance, really. And our goal here, what we want you to take away, is understanding the stark contrast the poet draws. It's between the folks who genuinely suffer, who sacrifice for change, and then these other figures who just kind of swoop in afterwards. They grab the spotlight, claim the credit. We're looking at how that real sacrifice gets hidden, buried under what the poem calls a borrowed sheen.
Right, and what's so striking is how fast the poem establishes this. There's no long build-up. It immediately points to this mechanism of political opportunism. How movements get co-opted almost instantly, how the real struggle is just painted over.
And that imagery used to describe them appearing. It's immediate, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. They rise like mushrooms after rain. It's such a vivid line.
It really is. Mushrooms after rain. It suggests something maybe a bit unnatural, fleeting, appearing suddenly from the decay left behind.
Exactly. It perfectly captures that sense of superficiality, maybe even something unhealthy, feeding off the situation. And the poem connects this straight to the modern world. It spells out where they pop up, on paper, on air, on screens, in disguise.
Right, not just on a soapbox anymore.
No, we're talking websites, hashtags, YouTube streams. Very 21st century, they're highly visible, instantly amplified.
And the second they have that platform, they make their claim. This is where the conflict really ignites in the ballad. They're out there saying, we turned the tide, or we won the vote, we lit the way.
Yes, but it's more than just claiming victory. The poem adds this really cutting layer. It says, they claim the revolution and sell our dreams.
Sell our dreams. That hits hard. It suggests the movement's ideals are just commodified, watered down for their own gain.
Precisely. The original goals, the hope for real change, it gets packaged and sold. And the immediate effect of this loud claim, it erases the real story. The genuine sacrifices, the anonymous struggles,
Yeah.
they get wiped from the narrative almost instantly.
Yeah, the true ones who bled, who fell unseen, as the poem puts it, suddenly they're just gone.
Buried. Buried beneath the borrowed sheen. That phrase again.
Borrowed sheen. It implies it's fake, right? A shine that doesn't actually belong to them.
Absolutely. It forces you, the listener, to ask, whose story gets told? Whose pain gets acknowledged? It's this constant battle, isn't it? Visibility versus validity.
And often the loudest voice wins, even if it's, well, empty.
Sadly, yes. Which brings us right to the hypocrisy the poem explores next. It's not just what they claim, it's what they didn't do.
Right. The focus shifts to their complete absence during the actual struggle. I mean, the line, never burned a tire.
Yeah, that's such a concrete image.
But now they speak with revolutionary fire, all passion, no prior action.
It's a stark contrast. And there's more. They slept when others died. They avoided the danger, the real risk.
Well, when it's safe.
And they shout with flags with stolen pride. The pride is stolen because the price was paid by others. And it just highlights this fundamental emptiness.
So is it just cowardice? Or is it something deeper, like a lack of real belief? The poem seems to suggest that, doesn't it? This ideological inconsistency.
Oh, definitely. It paints a picture of shifting loyalties based entirely on what's convenient, what serves them at the moment. Look at how it describes their reactions to global events. They supposedly wrote in tears when Russia fell.
Okay.
But then, they danced in cheers when Cuba bowed. It's completely contradictory. The emotion follows the political win, not any core conviction.
So the ideology itself is just a tool.
Exactly, a prop, like holding Marx and Lenin to their chest.
Yes, I remember that line.
But only when it served them best. It reduces these huge philosophical frameworks to, like, accessories.
Yeah.
Wear them when fashionable, discard them when not.
Which I suppose leads directly to the ultimate betrayal, describe their attitude towards the very people they supposedly represent.
Yeah, the working class.
Yeah.
The poem is scathing here. It calls them those who mock the working class.
Mocked them, and yet now...
Now when there's power to be gained, suddenly they march beneath the red flag's glass.
That phrase, red flags, glass. What do you think that implies? A barrier?
I think so. Like they're observing the struggle, maybe analyzing it, but they're shielded. Behind glass. Separated from the heat, the mess, the reality of it.
Leading from a safe distance.
Right. Leading from comfort, not shared experience. And this, the poem argues, causes lasting damage.
Because the people who actually did the work, who endured...
The people who suffered through the night, they end up left behind beyond the light. They provided the fuel, the sacrifice, but they don't share in the power or the rewards.
It paints a pretty bleak picture for the base, even after a supposed victory.
It does. And this self-interest becomes crystal clear during crises, when things get tough, Like when banks collapse and nations drown. What do these figures do?
They don't stand with the people.
No. According to the poem, they hide their greed beneath the crown.
The crown. Okay, so not a literal crown, obviously, more like established power, the system.
Yeah, I think it symbolizes institutional power, the status quo, maybe even just their own wealth and privilege. They retreat back to the safety of the very structures they claimed they wanted to overthrow.
Protecting themselves, above all else. The revolutionary talk just vanishes when their own security is at stake.
It tells you everything about their real priorities. Which brings us to the final acts of betrayal laid out in the ballad. This really hammers home the self-interest.
They even reclaim power within structures they previously abandoned, right? Reclaiming the party they betrayed in need.
Yes, they jumped ship when it was dangerous or unpopular, but now that it might offer a route back to influence, they're back, in word and deed.
The poem uses some strong imagery for that abandonment, too.
Oh yeah, very direct. When the ship sank, metaphorically speaking, they jumped away. Simple as that.
No loyalty.
None. When storms rose against the movement, they just changed their play. Always calculating, always looking for the safest, most advantageous move.
And the culmination of all this, the final indictment.
It's brutal. At the final call, the critical moment of choice, who did they side with?
Not the movement, I'm guessing.
Not the people who trusted them? The poem states it plainly. They saved the masters and betrayed us all. Their ultimate loyalty wasn't to the revolution, it was to the existing power structure, the masters.
Wow. Betraying the very people who perhaps put them in a position to make that choice.
Exactly. And the poem warns us, this isn't just history. This cycle continues. These figures adapt.
Right at the end, it says, now opportunists rise again.
Polished faces, tongues of pain. They're smoother now, maybe better at PR, better with the media, the hashtags.
Fundamentally the same.
That's the warning. The underlying opportunism, the self-service, it's still there, just repackaged.
So pulling it all together, the core message here is what? A warning.
A fierce warning, I'd say. A demand, really, to look past the noise, the visibility, the passionate speeches that borrowed sheen. We have to question who actually sacrificed, who put skin in the game, versus who just showed up later to claim the glory. Don't confuse the performance with the real work.
It's a call for discernment. But there is that flicker of hope at the end, isn't there, about history's judgment?
Yes, thankfully. Despite the current noise, the author holds out hope that time will name, with iron prose, the real heroes whom no one knows.
The idea that truth will eventually emerge. History will recognize the genuinely heroic, even if they're anonymous now.
That's the hope. Which leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty potent thought to chew on.
Okay.
Well, if the poem points to modern platforms, screens, hashtags as accelerators for this borrowed sheen, making it easier for opportunists to grab the narrative, what does that mean for us today? What skills do we need to develop to actually see past the slick presentation, the viral moments, and identify genuine commitment, genuine sacrifice?
How do we separate the signal from the noise, basically, especially when the noise is louder than ever?
Exactly. How do we stop confusing online fame or clever rhetoric with real, meaningful action for change?